Hi guys! So today's lesson is CKLA Unit 6 and it is Lesson 2. So hopefully you used my advice from last time and got a sticky note or a post-it or something to mark your pages, because Lesson 2 officially begins on page 54 with the second chapter, the second excerpt or vignette that we get to read. But we're going to I was going to skip to the vocab and go over the vocab from that chapter, but first I think I'm actually going to skip that also because there's a couple pages in this lesson that have to do with the last chapter. So on page 60 is actually where we're going to start for this lesson. Okay, so please find page 60. Because this page, these next couple pages actually, all have to do with the last chapter, the one where she talks about the houses and how she feels about the houses and how she's describing the houses. Okay, so this is where we're going to start. Try to zoom in so I can fit as much of the little page as I can. All right, so we're starting here on page 60, and if you need to go back and reread the first vignette, the House on Mango Street story, please go back and do that. It starts on page 42. I'm not going to right now just because I remember it, but if you need to remember some details about it, go back, reread that part, or go back to the previous video and listen to me read that part, but you'll need all that information to do this part of lesson 2. Okay, so on page 60, we have an important task here. So it says, below are a series of words that might be appropriate for how the narrator feels about the different places you described in the previous lesson. Choose the word you think is most appropriate, fill in the blanks below with the word you have chosen, and your evidence from the text. Remember to use quotation marks. So the quotation marks are for if we needed to like directly quote what somebody was saying. So if you're going to use text from the story, like the exact sentences and stuff, we would obviously need to put in quotation marks so that we are not plagiarizing, so that we're not copying and cheating. We need to attribute that work to the author and not pretend it's our own, right? So that's the quotation marks part. So the words that they gave us in our little word bank here are excited, ashamed, proud, happy, unhappy, disappointed, bored, and sad. Okay, so those are all feelings. And we need to remember back how she feels about certain houses in her life. Okay, so number 1, complete the blanks below to convey how the narrator feels about the house on Mango Street. So specifically, just the house on Mango Street this time. So that's the new house they moved to, and she was hoping it was going to be this wonderful, magical place. But remember, I drew it in the last lesson, and hopefully you did too, so that it's not just me drawing silly pictures. Right here. Remember the tiny red house, tiny windows, the door was too big to fit, didn't have much of a yard, it just had the 4 trees in the front, little garage in the back, little yard, and it was squished by other buildings on either side. There's only 1 bathroom, and she has to share a bedroom. Okay, so I think the most appropriate word to describe the narrator's feelings is blank. So of these 8 words up here, which one best fits her feelings about that Mango Street house? And you can pick a couple of these, okay? There's a few that fit. She's not excited about it. She might be a little bit ashamed of it. She's not proud of it. She's not happy with it. She is unhappy. She is disappointed. I wouldn't say she's bored, and maybe she's a little sad. Okay, I think the most precise word, the most exact word for this case is disappointed. But if you said ashamed, unhappy, sad, any of those are fine too. But the one that fits the best is disappointed. Okay, and then it goes on, because the chapter says blank. So why did you pick disappointed, or why did you pick whatever word you chose? Okay, so we would have to go back into the story to find out, where does it say that she is disappointed with the Mango Street house? Okay, and it should be probably towards the back. Oh, I see a good quote. Okay, so on page 45 of the first chapter, I knew then that I had to have a house, a real house, one I could point to, but this isn't it. The house on Mango Street isn't it. So she's disappointed with the house on Mango Street, okay? The house on Mango Street isn't it. So that's what I'm going to use for my quote, but if you picked a different word, maybe you want to choose a different quote. Quotation marks. The house on Mango Street isn't it. Okay, remember when we do our quotation marks, when we were learning about punctuating dialogue and stuff, it goes quotation marks, capital, all the text, period, and then quotation marks on the outside of the sentence. And mango and street have to be capitalized because it's the name of the street. Okay? If you need that to catch up, pause it, because I'm going to continue. Okay, number 2. Complete the blanks below to convey how the narrator feels about the imagined house. So remember, she was talking about she wants a real house, the one that Mama dreamed of, and like the houses on TV, and it's just going to be this fantastic place. And that's what she was hoping the house on Mango Street was, but it wasn't. Okay, so when she wants to live in this house, what would be the best words for her feelings here out of this list? So I'd say excited, proud, happy are all great words. I'm going to choose excited. Or happy is a good one. Okay, I think the most appropriate word to describe the narrator's feelings about the imagined house is excited, because the chapter says blank. So we'll go back into the quote, find a good part about that. Okay, let's see. Like down here at the bottom of page 43, it says, they always told us that one day we would move into a house, a real house that would be ours for always. That's a pretty good one. Here she's talking about what the house would be like. This was the house Mama dreamed up. I like that. I'm going to put that one. But any quote to show that they're excited, or that the narrator at least is excited about this imagined house that they hope they have someday. Because the chapter says the house Mama dreamed up. I didn't capitalize the first word that time because it wasn't capitalized in the chapter. It was just the middle of a sentence in the chapter, so that's fine there. And I capitalized Mama because it was capitalized in the story. Okay, and then the last house that they talked about was the Loomis Street flat. And remember, flat meant apartment. So that was the one with the paint peeling, and there were bars on the windows, and she was sitting outside her house one day, and one of her nuns from school, one of her teachers, walked by and saw her and was like, "That's your house?" Like all like disgusted by it. So that's a shame. But how does the narrator feel about that house out of just these words? Not excited. Definitely not excited about that house. She was ashamed of it. That's like embarrassed. Not proud, not happy. She was unhappy. She was disappointed, not bored, maybe a little sad just because the nun kind of like judged her house. But I think ashamed is probably the most precise word for that one. Okay. Ashamed. Or sad is also a good one. Because the chapter says blank. So why does she feel ashamed? How do we know? Where's the evidence? Where is the text evidence? So back to that part. It was towards the end where she was talking about the Loomis Street house. So page 45. Living on Loomis. So all this is about the Loomis Street flat. There. You live there. The way she said it made me feel like nothing. Okay, that's what I'm gonna use. Because the chapter says, it made me feel like nothing. And that doesn't mean like she didn't have any feelings about it. She felt like nothing, like she felt like she didn't matter, like she wasn't anything important because of the way the nun made her feel about her house. Okay. And then challenge at the bottom. Can you come up with your own adjectives to describe the narrator's feelings? So on top of just these 8, can you think of any feeling words, any adjectives to describe how she's feeling at any point in that chapter? Okay, so that's a tough one. Come up with any adjectives you can think of. Maybe she was feeling let down, which is, I mean, kind of the same thing as disappointed, but she was let down with the house on Mango Street because she was hoping for this amazing house. But you can think of any synonyms for any of these words. Like you could come up with other words for like sad and happy, and those could fit for your challenge problem down there. Okay. So on the next page, we are still talking about the houses. So I'm on page 62 now, down there, and we have this graph that we're going to fill out about the houses that she has lived in or that she hopes to live in. Okay. So we're going to fill out the table below with your teacher. Awesome. I'm right here. So we're going to fill this out about when she lived in the houses, so the time that she lived in them, the mood, like how she felt about living in them, and a quote that matches her feelings, okay? Or a quote that describes like what the house looked like, okay? And then we're going to take our information from the chart and put it in this graph over here, and I'll show you guys how to do the graph in a second. But first thing is the chart. So the imagined house, the one she wants to live in, she doesn't live in it yet, and she hasn't lived in it before, so it's not past or present, it's future. She's going to live in it in the future. But I'm going to put future question mark because we don't know if she's going to live in it, right? Maybe she never lives in this amazing, beautiful house. Maybe she just lives on Mango Street the rest of her life. Okay, so we don't know. We can't tell the future yet. So future question mark. And what's her mood about the house? What's her feeling? Okay, so maybe excited would be a good mood. Or proud. She would be proud of that house. Okay, and then a quote about it. We can just use the same quotes that we used on the previous page. So, the house Mama dreamed up. That's what I used. You can use whatever you put. The house Mama dreamed up. Okay. So that's what we're doing for this whole chart. Imagined house. It was in the future, or it will be hopefully in the future for her. She's excited and proud about it. And a quote about the imagined house is the house Mama dreamed up. Okay, so the Mango Street house, that's the one she is currently living in the story right now. So that would be the present, like present tense. It's happening right now. And how did she feel about that house? What is her mood? She was disappointed. I forgot from the poetry unit how very tiny these workbooks are and how hard it is to write in them. And then a quote. What did I put? The house on Mango Street isn't it. I'm just gonna write, this isn't it. Like, this isn't the house she had dreamed of, or the house she had hoped for. Okay. And then the Loomis Street flat, that was the last house they lived in, and that was in the past. And she was ashamed by that house, or ashamed of that house. And the quote I used was, "It made me feel like nothing." All right, so since these are all quotes, they all should have quotation marks. Double check that yours does. And then we're moving on to the graph. So if you need to pause this page to catch up and fill out your chart, pause it now because I'm moving. Okay, so you have to turn your book like this for this page. So I'm going to zoom out a tiny bit. Okay, so on this side of the graph is the time period that's happening. So it's the past, present, and future. And then on this side of the graph is her mood. So a negative mood all the way up to a positive mood. Okay, so we just have to plot where the houses are when she lived in it. Okay, so in the past, she lived, we're just looking at the past part. Okay, so just past. She lived in the Loomis Street flat in the past. And how was her mood? Would you say it's more negative or more positive in the Loomis Street flat? So that was the one she was ashamed of. I would say that's about here. We're just doing like a dot graph, okay? And I'm just gonna write Loomis Street flat. Okay, she had a pretty negative mood about that house, and that was the one she lived in the past. Okay, in the present, the one she lives in right now is the Mango Street house. And her mood is a little more positive about this house. I mean, she's not ashamed of it. It's definitely better than the Loomis Street flat was, but it's still not like super positive, right? So I'm gonna put that one here, just slightly higher, and label it Mango Street house. Okay, and then over here, her future house, the imagined house, her mood is definitely more on the positive side. So I'm gonna kind of connect future, and it was very positive. She wants to live in this imagined house. Imagined house. Okay, so that kind of just plots her mood, how she's felt about the houses she's lived in the past and the ones that she's going to be living in, hopefully one day in the future. Okay. All right, so pause that if you need to catch up. All right, after this page, after page 63 with the graph, I'm gonna skip towards the back and too far back. Go over the vocab words because we have a new chapter to read, but we got to go over the vocab first. So that's on page 67. Okay, so once you're at 67, let's go over these vocab words. First word is aspiration, and that's a noun. It's the hope of achieving something. So that's like your aspirations or like your dreams for the future. So like if you want to go to college, that's an aspiration. If you want to what's another aspiration? If you want to be a famous YouTuber, that's an aspiration. I'm saying that because I'm obviously a famous YouTuber now. Next word, baptize, is a verb, so that's a thing that you do, or that happens to you, I guess. It is a baptism is a Christian ceremony, but if you're baptizing someone, if you are baptized, it's a verb. It's a Christian ceremony through which people are named. So in certain religions, like once you're a baby, you get baptized, and it's like your name becomes official. And it's like when they have like the water and stuff they put on your forehead and stuff. So some of you might have been baptized. I was, because I grew up in a religious Catholic household, but baptized. we'll see where that comes in our chapter. Next word, chandelier. And that's a noun. It's a lamp that hangs from the ceiling. So you know, like those fancy, like jeweled diamond chandeliers. That's what that is. Chinese year of the house. Horse. Wow, did I say house? Horse. Chinese year of the horse. And that's an idiom, so it is an idea. The Chinese have a 12-year cycle where each year is named after an animal. So every year is like a different animal that year. And I'm trying to think, I don't know what this year is, but it's funny that Chinese year of the horse, because the year I was born was the year of the horse. And they're different animals like a pig, a dog, a cat, a monkey, a rat, all kinds of stuff. And so you should look up what yours is for the year you were born. Chinese year of the blank. Next word is fancy. That's an adjective. You guys know what fancy means. Nice, probably expensive. Records is a noun. It's funny. Ask your parents what records are. They probably know. They definitely should know. They're like, you know, the CDs, but they're big and they're vinyl and they're black and they have like the lines on them. So you put them on a record player and they play music. They're just kind of, you know, old school, cool way to play music. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever seen those. Sobbing is the next word, and that's an adjective. It's also a verb, but it means crying a lot. So if you're crying a ton, you are sobbing. And then for literary vocab, it's just character and theme. We definitely know what a character is. Oh, but this is a different type of character. Character in this case apparently means qualities and personality of someone in the book. So someone in the book is also a character, but their qualities and personality is the person's character. So like my character, I'm hilarious and so kind and just the best person in the world, right? Those are my qualities and personality. Whereas, let's see, who else? Olaf's character from Frozen. He is kind of aloof, doesn't always know what's going on, but he's super kind, always caring and helping his friends, and he's super funny. So that's Olaf's character. It's his personality. And theme is the key subject or idea throughout the text. So if a text is really trying to teach you something, that theme might come up a lot throughout the story, okay? So now that we've read the vocab, we have to go back to the beginning of this chapter, or this lesson, and find the vignette to read it, and it is on page 54 is where it starts, okay? So page 54, vignette 2 is titled My Name. All right, so remember your 3 options. You can pause this or fast forward, read it on your own. You can track along with me as I read it, or those are the only 2 options. I'm taking away option 3 because I don't need you to visualize anything in this chapter. Okay, you're not picturing any houses or anything this time. So your 2 options are read it by yourself or track with me. Here we go. In English, my name means hope. In Spanish, it means too many letters. It means sadness. It means waiting. It is like the number 9, a muddy color. It is the Mexican records my father plays on Sunday mornings when he is shaving. Songs like Sobbing. It was my great-grandmother's name, and now it is mine. She was a horsewoman too, born like me in the Chinese year of the horse, which is supposed to be bad luck if you're born female. But I think this is a Chinese lie because the Chinese, like the Mexicans, don't like their women strong. Interesting. My great-grandmother. I would have liked to have known her. A wild horse of a woman. So wild she wouldn't marry. Until my great-grandfather threw a sack over her head and carried her off. Just like that, as if she were a fancy chandelier. That's the way he did it. And the story goes she never forgave him. She looked out the window her whole life, the way so many women sit their sadness on an elbow. I wonder if she made the best with what she got, or was she sorry because she couldn't be all the things she wanted to be? Esperanza. I have inherited her name, but I don't want to inherit her place by the window. Okay, so we just found out her name is Esperanza. That's important. Next page. Short chapter. Okay. At school they say my name funny, as if the syllables were made out of tin and hurt the roof of your mouth. But in Spanish, my name is made out of a softer something, like silver, not quite as thick as my sister's name, Magdalena, which is uglier than mine. Magdalena, who at least can come home and become Nenny. But I am always Esperanza. I would like to baptize myself under a new name, a name more like the real me, the one nobody sees. Esperanza as Lysandra, or Maritza, or Zeze the X. Yes, something like Zeze the X will do. Okay, that's the whole vignette. That's the entire chapter. If you need to go back and reread that to better understand some of those parts, please do, because that's a little bit confusing of a chapter, but we're going to go through it. The next page, 58 and 59, we are going to skip. If you want to read through it and do it, if you're desperately bored, go for it. But it's just about like our house drawing and partner work, so you don't have to do it. If you don't have a partner to work with, it's just, is your writing about your house clear, okay? And then 60 and 61, we just did. That was her feelings about the houses. We did the chart and the graph on page 62 and 63. So page 64 is where we need to work now, okay? So on 64, at the top it says graphing. Using the table below, write all the words and phrases the narrator uses to describe her name in the first paragraph of My Name. If the word or phrase is positive, place it in the positive column. If it is negative, place it in the negative column. Otherwise, place it in the neutral column. At the end, count how many words or phrases are in each column and show the total in the total row. Okay, so different things about her name in the first paragraph. So, sorry, I keep having you guys flip back and forth. You can stay on this page and I'll find them for you. First paragraph. So just right here. In English, my name means hope. Okay, hope. Is that positive, negative, or neutral? I would say hope is pretty positive, so I'm gonna write it up here. But I'm writing it small. I'm not taking up the entire box because there are lots of different ways she described her name. So write these tiny. Okay, so far just hope. In Spanish, it means too many letters. Okay, too many letters. Positive, negative, or neutral, I would say that's negative. I mean, it's not like a bad thing, but she makes it sound negative. So too many letters. Okay. Back to the paragraph. It means sadness, it means waiting. Okay, sadness and waiting. Definitely negative. Sorry, one of my cats is trying to join this lesson. Sadness, waiting. Okay. It's like the number 9. Okay, the number 9 is not positive or negative. I'd say that's neutral. That's like, neutral is like in the middle. It's either or. Hey, Ollie, can you stop scratching my chair, please? Thanks. Number 9. Okay, she said her name was like the number 9. Esperanza? 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the number 9 in Spanish is nueve.